Welcome to Baking with Chef Alex Cardinale. I'm your host, Chef Alex. What are we going to be baking today? What dessert are we going to be making today? Let's find out on Baking with Chef Alex right here, right now, live on my YouTube channel, the legendary Alex Cardinale. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the very first Baking with Chef Alex Cardinale live stream. I'm your host, Chef Alex Cardinale. How you guys doing today? I want to thank you so much for taking the time to watch today's video. Today, I am going to be doing my very first baking video. I'm going to be heading into the kitchen for the first time in quite a while. This is going to be probably my first baking video in well over 6 months. So I'm really excited to get back into the kitchen and show you one of my personal favorite desserts to make. So today I'm going to be making a classic American dessert. I'm going to be making bread pudding. Now, bread pudding is a really good dessert that utilizes stale bread, and it is made with a easy custard that usually has eggs, cream, milk, and sugar and other ingredients. But today I'm taking the ordinary and turning it into the extraordinary. I am making a legendary bread pudding because I'm going to be making a Texas Roadhouse bread pudding. I'm going to be using Texas Roadhouse Dinner Rolls and our legendary honey cinnamon butter to make a Texas Roadhouse bread pudding. So you're going to be joining me in the kitchen to watch me make a delicious Texas Roadhouse bread pudding in a few moments here. But I want to remind everybody that I will have the complete recipe with ingredients and instructions, and that will be posted in the video description right after this video airs. Okay, so after this video has aired live, I'll post a recipe with the ingredients and the instructions in the video description. So with that being said, I hope you enjoyed today's video, my first live baking video in over 6 months. So here we go. We're going to start, but before we get into the kitchen, let's learn about bread pudding. So before I head to the kitchen and get this awesome legendary bread pudding started, I'm going to start off each and every baking and cooking video with some information on the recipes that I am making. So today, obviously, I'm going to be making a type of bread pudding. Now, I know a lot of you might not know what bread pudding is. I personally did not know what bread pudding was until I went to culinary school and I did a baking class. So that's where I learned a lot about some of my other favorite desserts, which include red velvet cake, cannolis, eclairs, and of course, bread pudding. Now, bread pudding is a great classic dessert that is very simple to make. Now, bread pudding was a dessert that's been around for many decades and many centuries. This is a dessert that was made during the Great Depression because it utilizes real simple ingredients and ingredients that everybody is guaranteed to have on hand. It uses bread, some sort of cream, which could be milk or heavy cream, or a combination of half and half, eggs, and sugar. And then you could add in other ingredients as well. So basically, what bread pudding is it's a dessert that is made up of leftover stale bread. You don't want to use fresh bread for this because fresh bread will not absorb the custard. You want to use stale bread, bread that has been sitting out for a few days, and bread that normally you would not serve with dinner or serve sandwiches on. So this is the best way to utilize stale bread besides feeding it to birds or ducks or throwing it away. Turn it into an amazing dessert. So bread pudding starts off with stale bread or bread that is starting to harden. So basically the ingredients for a bread pudding are bread, and then you have the pudding custard mix, which is generally egg yolks or whole eggs, sugar, milk, and spices, which could be cinnamon and nutmeg. But I generally just use cinnamon in my bread pudding. You also use butter for flavor. And then you could add in extras like raisins or other dried fruits, chocolate chips, white chocolate. You can add in bananas, apples, other chopped fruits. So bread pudding is a really delicious dessert to make, really simple. Today I'm going to show you how to make a really easy bread pudding. Now a lot of people when they think of bread pudding, they think, oh, it's bread, how's it going to be a good dessert? But if you elevate the bread that you're using, you're going to get an elevated dessert. So you could use leftover sandwich bread to make bread pudding, but you could also use other high quality bread products. Like you could use brioche bread, you could use croissant bread, you could use French toast that is left over. So there's a lot of different breads that you could use. The higher quality bread, the higher quality dessert you are going to have. So today I'm going to be using Texas Roadhouse legendary dinner rolls. Now they are perfect when you eat them at the restaurant because they are fresh out of the oven. They are fresh baked. But when you take these rolls home, they tend to firm up and become a little bit hard, and they're not as fresh as they are at the restaurant. That might not be good for eating just with butter, but they are perfect to make a bread pudding with. So today I'm going to show you how to use the leftover rolls from Texas Roadhouse. And yes, you can ask to take up to a dozen home when you go to the restaurant. And I'm going to show you how to make a bread pudding using these awesome Texas Roadhouse rolls. And of course, the legendary honey cinnamon butter. Also, most bread puddings are served with a creamy sauce. It could be a whiskey sauce or a vanilla sauce or a variation of the two. Today, I'm going to show you how to make a quick and simple vanilla sauce that I'm going to serve with my Texas Roadhouse bread pudding. And then I'm going to serve that with some vanilla ice cream. Typical United States of America bread pudding has a caramel sauce or a vanilla sauce or a whiskey sauce, and it is served with whipped cream and vanilla ice cream. So that is my information on bread pudding. If you have any questions on bread pudding, post them in the comments or the live chat, and I will be happy to answer them for you. This is going to be a really fun recipe, and I think you're going to enjoy watching me make Texas Roadhouse bread pudding. Okay, so having said that, enough talk. Let's get right to the action, and let's head right into the kitchen where I'm going to show you how to make a delicious Texas Roadhouse bread pudding right now. Welcome to Chef Alex's Kitchen. Today I'm going to show you how to make a legendary bread pudding. But not just any bread pudding. I'm going to show you how to make Texas Roadhouse bread pudding utilizing these, our fresh baked dinner rolls, as well as our legendary honey cinnamon butter that's going to add a nice flavor to our bread pudding. So, real simple dessert to make. Bread pudding is really one of my personal favorite desserts because it is relatively cheap to make and it is really easy to make. All you really need is your bread, and by elevating your bread game, like today, instead of using sliced bread or brioche bread, we are using Texas Roadhouse Dinner Rolls. You're going to get a much better product and a much tastier dessert. So these are really good. They have like a nice sweet and condensed milk flavor to them. That's why I like our Texas Roadhouse dinner rolls. So the star of today's recipe is the Texas Roadhouse dinner rolls and our legendary honey cinnamon butter. So the ingredients that you're going to need are um, our bread that's going to be sliced into cubes like that, which I'll show you how to do in a second. Um, some honey cinnamon butter. I've already melted some and added it to this bowl, and I'm going to melt this one in a second. And then for the custard, we're going to need four eggs, and then we're going to need the rest of this milk, which I'm going to be using whole milk, but you could use whatever milk you like, or you could use sweetened condensed milk, or you could use evaporated milk, or even half and half if you prefer. And then I'm going to use some cinnamon sugar, vanilla extract, and regular sugar. That's going to be for our custard. And then for my vanilla sauce, I'm going to create a nice vanilla glaze that uses butter, powdered sugar, and milk, and vanilla extract. And then I'll show you how you could serve this with vanilla ice cream, or how you can make a simple cream au glace sauce, which I'll talk about later on in the video. So let's get started. So this is real simple. You can do this a number of ways. You can simply take a knife and chop your rolls in half or in quarters, or you could just do what I do and break them apart with your hands. Um, this is really easy, and hopefully my camera looks good. This is my first time doing a baking video solo in a long time, so hopefully it's good quality and you can see what I'm doing. All right, so this is the last one going in. All right, now we're going to take this over to the microwave, and I'm going to melt the butter real quick. So I put the butter on for about 30 seconds. And I'm going to check it in a few seconds because I don't want to over melt our butter. There's sugar in there. Okay, that looks good enough. It doesn't have to be fully melted. Like at this point, that's okay. If you get it to like that point, that's fine. It doesn't have to be fully melted. So now what you're going to do is you're going to pour that in with your bread. And you're going to mix it before we make our custard. That way this doesn't like cook our eggs when we make our custard. So I'm going to take a spatula, and I'm just going to make sure this is all combined and it's all covered in the butter. And the butter has honey and cinnamon sugar. So you know this is going to be a really good dessert. So this is going to be a little bit sweeter than your ordinary bread pudding. Although some bread puddings can be on the sweet side, but I'm not using any raisins or any fruit because we really don't need it for this recipe. Because the honey cinnamon bread, the honey cinnamon butter, and the Texas Roadhouse bread is the star of this recipe. So once you have everything combined like that, it should be good. I'm just going to make sure that it's all combined. And for those of you who are asking me how many dinner rolls I use, probably like 16 to 18. I bought 2 dozen, but some of them were eaten. But 16 to 18, you're going to get a good amount. All right, so now we're going to put this aside. It's all covered by the honey cinnamon butter. And now we're going to make our custard. Now, an optional step which you can take, which I'm going to show you what you can do, if you want like more of a cinnamon flavor, you can sprinkle some cinnamon sugar on top of that cinnamon butter, and it'll become like a monkey bread. All right. So that's that. Now we're going to move on to our custard, which is really simple. I'm going to take 4 large eggs, or you could do 5, but I think 4 is enough. So here's our first egg. And there's one of our egg yolks. All right. So now that I got the eggs in there, I've got the 4 eggs and then the 2 egg yolks. I'm going to add some sugar, the vanilla, and the milk. And then I'll give that a good whisk. And then I'll show you a secret ingredient that I like to add. So now we'll add all this milk. And I'm going to add a little bit of vanilla extract. And now, to sweeten it up, we're going to add about a cup of sugar. So I'm pretty good at eyeballing. So I'm just going to add some sugar, probably like 3 handfuls. That's good. Now my hands are all sugary. That's okay. And I'm going to add a little bit of my secret ingredient. So this is my secret ingredient, Cold Stone Creamery sweet cream, which is going to give it like a ice cream flavor. A little bit of that. Alrighty. So now I'm going to take a whisk and I'm just going to whisk all that together. So we want to make sure you get all the egg yolks combined. Mix this really well. So it might take a few minutes to make sure it's really mixed well together. You want to make sure that you don't have scrambled egg pudding when you put this in the oven. All right, so this should be pretty good. All right. Yeah, hold on. Yeah. All right. So this is what you should end up with your custard mixture should end up looking like. So I'm gonna mix it a little bit more just to make sure you get as much air in there as you can. All right, that's good. So I'll put this aside. Now what I'm going to do is we're going to take our custard mixture, and we're going to put it in with our bread, and we're going to make sure that each piece of the bread gets soaked. So we're going to slowly put that in there. There we go. So now it might look like there's too much liquid in there. But what we're going to do is we're going to take our spatula, and we're going to mix it all together, because this is what's going to create that nice moist pudding. Now, the best thing about using Texas Roadhouse Dinner Rolls is that they're actually best at the restaurant when you first get them brought to your table, because they're fresh out of the oven. And when you bring them home in a to-go box or a bag that they put them in, they start losing that fresh flavor and they start getting hard, which is perfect for a bread pudding, because that's what you want. You want a bread that's going to be hard so that it can absorb all that delicious custard that we just put in there. So we're going to let this absorb for about 5 or 10 minutes, and then we'll put it into a pan and bake it for about 45 minutes at a 400-degree Fahrenheit oven. So I'm just going to continue to mix this well, and then we'll pop it into my prepared pan. So that looks good. All the pieces are coated. And I'm just going to let it sit for a few minutes. All right, that looks good now. So I'm going to let that sit for a few minutes, and then we'll put it into the pan and put it into the oven. We'll be right back, folks. All right, now I've had the mixture sitting for a few minutes. As you can see, it's all become one mixture. If I can show you. So now we're going to put that into a pan and pop it in the oven. So let me just show you how I do that. Now the pan I'm using is already pre-greased with non-stick cooking spray, so it'll be easier to come out. So now we're just going to take our bread pudding, push this back a little bit so I can show you how to do it. All right. So now we're just going to put that there. It's not showing you for some reason. All right, here we go. There we go. As you can see, it's going to make a lot of bread pudding.
I'm going to make a lot cake this year for Christmas.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, so now we're going to spread this out. So it's going to look like almost like a cake, because that's because of the custard. And now we're just going to push it down. Can I also football game at 8 o'clock now? What? Can I also football game at 8 o'clock? All right, and we are now ready for the oven. So this is what it's going to look like before we put it in the oven. As you can see, a big full pan. So this is going to take about 45 to 55 minutes in the oven. And when we come back, we'll let it cool. I'll show you how to make our vanilla sauce, and I'll show you how to serve this legendary dessert, folks. Stay legendary, my friends. So this is about 45 minutes in the oven. As you can see, it looks nice and golden brown. So now we're going to take it out of the oven. Alright, so here it is out of the oven. As you can see, it's a nice golden brown, but still nice and moist. You can tell when it's done when it springs back to the touch. As you can see, it's doing. So right now we're going to let it cool for about 20 minutes, and then I'm going to create the vanilla sauce that we're going to top it with, and then I'll show you how I serve it. So here is a vanilla glaze slash sauce that I made. I made it by melting some butter and then adding in some powdered sugar and some milk and vanilla and a little bit of cinnamon. This is a recipe that I got from YouTube. So now we're going to top our bread pudding with this delicious glaze, and then we're ready to serve. So this is a little bit warm, and it'll thicken as it sets. So now I'm going to take the bread pudding, now that it's cooled down a little bit, and I'll pour the glaze on top. And we'll let that set for 10 minutes, and then we'll serve it. Alright, so now I'm ready to serve up the bread pudding. So this is the finished product right here. As you can see, I already served up a slice, but I'm going to show you how I serve it up after I put the vanilla sauce on it. So basically I make a cut. You can make it as big or as small as you want, but this is a very rich dessert, so keep that in mind. So after you cut it, you can see how moist it is in the middle, which I'll show you in a second. Let me get a spatula. So let me put this knife down.
I thought you changed the water in there. You did today.
So as it comes out, this is how it looks. Yeah.
You can have that. I'll give it to her.
All right.
You want vanilla ice cream too?
So I'm going to put some vanilla ice cream on the side to serve it with.
What do you want? Fork or a spoon? You want a fork or a spoon? Yeah, got it.
So we serve it with vanilla ice cream, and that's the bread pudding.
And here I am over here.
All right. So thank you guys for watching. Now, if you wanted to make a cream anglaise, so you would simply just let the ice cream melt. And that's an easy, simple cream anglaise. So thank you guys for watching. So here is a serving of my legendary Texas Roadhouse bread pudding with my vanilla glaze and vanilla ice cream. Now, as I was saying, you can make a simple creme anglaise by leaving vanilla ice cream out at room temperature, because creme anglaise is simply vanilla ice cream that has been frozen. Or actually, it's just vanilla ice cream that is out at room temperature. I learned that from Barefoot Contessa, Ian Garden. so this looks delicious. I'm going to try a bite with you on camera, and then we'll end today's video.
I don't know.
Alright, so this is the best part, is the tasting part. So let's give this a try.
Yeah.
The bread pudding, I'm going to try a little bit of ice cream.
Of course not. That's why her and Joy are fucking begging us all the time. Because they want to make money off of us. It's obvious.
It is really good. It tastes really good. It's one of my favorite desserts. Alright guys, thank you for watching. You should really give this recipe a try. I think you're going to like it. It's a really delicious recipe. Alrighty, so there you have it. That is my recipe for Texas Roadhouse bread pudding. A real legendary dessert. So be sure to make this recipe at home and let me know how you like it. Give it a try. Trust me, it is really simple to make. As you can see in today's video, all you really need to do is slice up those Texas Roadhouse rolls, melt that honey cinnamon butter for about 30 seconds, mix it in with the rolls, then make the custard, and fold it in with the bread, and then bake the bread pudding in the oven, and then create whatever sauce you want, and then serve it with vanilla ice cream. Now, the creme anglaise part, I kind of got it a little bit mixed up. Creme anglaise is the base that is used to make vanilla ice cream. So simply by leaving a good quality vanilla ice cream melt at room temperature, that is creating a creme anglaise, which is really, really good. All right. So, having said that, this recipe was a success. I loved it. As you can see, my family loved it. My grandpa, father, my mother, my brother, and my father, they all enjoyed this recipe. And it's saying something because my grandfather doesn't really have much of a sweet tooth. He's not really into desserts. But when he saw me putting that glaze on the bread pudding, he wanted to try it, and he loved it. So that's saying something. That's telling you how good of a cook or chef that I am. So I give this recipe an A+. Definitely a keeper. I'm going to be making this for Thanksgiving and other occasions as well. So hopefully you'll try this at home and let me know how you like it. Real simple to make. You can actually purchase Texas Roadhouse rolls by simply going to a Texas Roadhouse near you and ask for a dozen or two of the Texas Roadhouse legendary fresh baked bread. So if you go to the Texas Roadhouse in West Palm Beach on Southern Boulevard, make sure you tell them that Alex Cardinale sent you. And if I'm there, I'll be able to hook you up. So with that being said, I want to thank you so much for tuning into our very first live baking video. So, what are some desserts you want to see me make? Comment in the comments below with some suggestions, and I will create that iconic dessert for you. So let me know what you want to see me make on my next baking video. We've got one more bread pudding video coming up, and that's going to be taking place next Thursday. So next Thursday, September 23rd, at this time, 10:30 p.m. Eastern, 7:30 p.m. Pacific, I'm going to show you how to make a glazed donut bread pudding. Cannot wait to make another unique bread pudding using glazed donuts. So tune in next Thursday for that video. All right. Thank you guys for watching. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you like my baking and my cooking videos. Plenty more to come where that started. Today was just the beginning. We've got more baking and cooking videos coming your way. Thank you guys for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed today's video, And like always, make sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel if you haven't already, the legendary Alex Cardinale. I've got more baking videos, more cooking videos coming your way, and plenty more. Chef Alex reacts to your baking and cooking videos coming your way as well. Peace out, people, and enjoy the legendary Texas Roadhouse bread pudding. Thank you for watching me, Chef Alex, in the kitchen. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you did, please make sure to leave a like and subscribe to my YouTube channel for some more cooking and baking videos. Make sure to subscribe to the legendary Alex Cardinale. With that being said, thank you for watching this cooking video. And if you use my recipe, be sure to tell me how it is in the comments. And if you have any cooking or baking questions, post them in the comments as well. Have a great rest of your day, and thank you for watching.